Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday and a beautiful Friday in Santa Fe. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody is safe, wearing a mask, using hand sanitizer, keeping social distance, and remembering COVID-19 is not yet behind us. In fact, the data around us are really disturbing. Paper from yesterday, holding it up so you can see. This is yesterday's. New Mexican says, worst times are ahead. Texas, Arkansas, South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Oregon, Florida, and Utah all set new highs in 7-day rolling case averages on Wednesday. The fact is that as we open, as other states open that weren't as committed and disciplined as we've been, we're seeing a second wave of COVID-19 already. That's why it was very important that the City Council voted Wednesday night to say wear a mask. Please wear a mask when you go out, if you go into a business, and please do go into our businesses. Please help our local businesses. Spend your money locally. Don't do it on the web. Keep it all in Santa Fe. Go to the restaurants, go to the stores, go to the retailers, give them some of your money, but wear a mask. Use hand sanitizers, practice social distancing. Our council voted 7-2 to say we want an ordinance. It won't be on the books after COVID-19 is gone, but for the moment, we want to be the safest city in America when it comes to dealing with COVID-19. It's a recommitment. It's a statement of purpose. It's a signal that we care deeply about your health. When I wear a mask, I protect you. When you wear a mask, you protect me. And it doesn't have to be a mask. Could be any kind of facial covering, could be a bandana. If you don't have a mask, we have masks. We have more than 35,000 free masks that we're handing out. Our police officers will be handing out free masks. Because the point is not to give you a ticket. The point is to give you a reminder to stay safe. I think it really misses the point to talk about enforcement. The goal is not to enforce this ordinance. The goal is to not have to enforce the ordinance because we're all wearing safe coverings for our faces. We're all practicing safe practices. We want to be safe so we can open and do business. And that's what I'm hearing from our merchants, from our restaurant operators, our hotel folks. Some of the most devoted, safe operations, companies, businesses, small and large, mom and pop, all are right here in Santa Fe. That's the key to our economic recovery, is to be so safe we can all do business. And in fact, we're launching some new buttons, some new decals called the Santa Fe Promise. I've talked to you about it before. We've got a great new logo. Bob Borden, a local brilliant marketing and branding consultant, got us the free services of a graduate from the Santa Fe College of Art and Design. And that school, that man, that young gentleman, he has done a great job with a new logo. You'll be seeing it soon. It says 3 words: safe, open, together. And so that's our mantra. We're going to be safe, we're going to open, and we're going to stay together. So please remember, when you can go out to do a chore, do some shopping, spend a little money locally. Don't do it on the web. That doesn't help anybody. Do it locally and wear a mask. It's real simple. Then when you get home, use a little hand sanitizer. Be careful, be safe, and keep spending a little bit of your money right here in Santa Fe. Also on the agenda on our Wednesday night council meeting was a 7-hour meeting, because our council is working very hard to come to grips with a number of serious issues, all of which are in front of us at the same time. First is COVID-19, and we're working on that. Second is our budget crisis. It is a direct result of COVID-19. You should all know that 2 years ago, before I became mayor, the city's reserve fund was $6 million. 2 years later, it's $14 million. So ordinarily, we'd be very, very conservative and cautious. We'd say, great job, city government, building your reserve fund. Problem is, we have a $100 million budget deficit. a reserve fund of $14 million, as Senator John Arthur Smith, the head of the Senate Finance Committee, said the other day. We're wiped away by a tsunami of COVID-19 economic shutdown. So we're wrestling with how to make a budget balance. We'll be getting information to you on a regular basis about all the hard choices that our council members and I are going to have to make. It is very difficult, and if you listen to the council Wednesday night, when it got time to vote on the furloughs, first we all said how much we appreciate the hard work, the dedication, the real resilience and stick-to-itiveness of our city team. People who work for you as city employees are incredibly hardworking. They're incredibly devoted. They care deeply about this community. And now, through no fault of their own, through the fault of COVID-19, we're having to do furloughs. Our department heads, who work as hard or harder than anybody, they're taking 6-hour furloughs. It's the equivalent of a 15% pay cut. All of our employees are being asked to take a 4-hour furlough. When you heard the vote, if you did hear the vote, the body language and the tone of all of the people who voted when they said yes, they were willing to vote for this, was a very, very sad vote. And I have so much respect for all of our council members. They don't get paid a lot of money. This is a labor of love. They do it because they want to make Santa Fe better. They are not compensated anywhere close to the number of hours they put in. Most of them, this is their full-time occupation. Councilor Lindell, the mayor pro tem, she is a full-time city council member. Councilor Abeda, our finance chair, he has another job, but as the head of the finance committee, he is on duty all the time. Councilor Rivera recently retired from his job so he could spend so much more time as the chair of the Public Works Public Utilities Committee. Councilor Romero Worth heads our Quality of Life Committee. I could go down the whole list. So many of them are not employed with other jobs. They are focused on city government business, and even those who do have other jobs, they're working extraordinarily hard. And I got to tell you, they're working under hard circumstances, because right now having to find $100 million to balance the budget is not a fun task. It really is hard. It's difficult. Nobody comes to work in the morning saying, how can I cut a budget and take away services? We come to work every morning saying, what do we do to make life in Santa Fe better for everybody in all parts of our city? And because of COVID-19, the shutdown, the lack of gross receipts tax, we are having to do the hard and very challenging work of guiding us through this period of time where things are going to be smaller, not larger, where we're going to have to say no instead of yes. And it's going to be a tough, tough year looking forward. And we're going to need your help. We're going to need your support. We're going to need your encouragement, your ideas, your suggestions. We're going to need to engage in a community-wide conversation. It was started off by that survey that more than 5,000 of you responded to. Thank you for that. Now we're going to drill deeper, get more information, more feedback, more priorities, and build a budget for fiscal year 21, which starts on July 1st. Build a budget that is realistic, protects our core services, delivers the essential services that you depend on, and has to make do in other areas where we wish we had more money. When the economy begins to rebuild, we'll be able to rebuild. But in the meantime, those votes to furlough people were hard, and I really respect our council for stepping up and doing the right thing. We also approved money to start working on a downtown restroom. It's been talked about for a long time. That money, for those of you who were wondering, how can we build a downtown restroom when we're furloughing employees? The answer is they're two very different pots of money, and you can't put them together. If we could, we'd probably take the money out of the restroom fund and put it straight into paying people. But The downtown restroom came from an allocation from the state legislature. It's what are called capital dollars. They're used to build things, fix roads, take care of buildings. Those capital dollars can't be put toward operating expenses, which pay salaries. So we've been talking for years and years and years about our need for a very easy to get to, clean, well-designed, well-staffed downtown restroom as a tourism city, having a place where people can use the restroom safely, comfortably, easily, and find it without having to ask folks, stop people on the street and say, can you tell me where there might be a restroom? It's going to help our downtown enormously, but don't get mixed up between a capital project and operating dollars. They're very different pots, and you can't mix them up. But that got voted to go ahead, and I think it's been years in the discussion. We're going to get it going. And those dollars, by the way, will keep people working in Santa Fe, keep our employment levels going. To that, let me just give you a statistic from our land use office. Every week we get an update from all of our departments. Every member of the city council gets it. I get it as mayor, and it evaluates the weekly summary of events as we continue to adapt to COVID-19. For the month of May, 308 building permits applied for, 427 building permits issued, and they represent about $13.5 million in construction in Santa Fe. There were 6 Planning Commission pre-application meetings, 47 new housing units applied for, 87 historic preservation administrative approvals. So our land use department continues to feed the economy, get projects built, get those jobs going, continuing to keep the construction workers employed, and then they spend that money here in our shops, restaurants, stores, mom and pop operations, keeping that money right here in Santa Fe. It's got a multiplier effect. $1 builds 6, 7 more dollars locally. Some more good news about restaurants. Restaurants all across the city, not just downtown, south side, anywhere, can apply for outdoor service if they have a parking lot or parking spaces in front of the restaurant. The issue here is, how do we help our restaurants make money? The governor said they can open up to 50% of their fire rated value, 50% of the floor space. Problem is they have more expenses. They've got to keep everybody healthy, wipe down all the surfaces, pre-wrap all of that silverware and napkins, wipe down tables after somebody comes to eat. So it's expensive, and the number of people they can serve has been cut in half. So we're working with restaurants all across the city to try to give them more space outside, outdoors. If you have a restaurant or your favorite restaurant is interested in expanding its footprint, call the mayor's office, call our tourism department. We're issuing permits. We're working with people to open up that opportunity. That's why we've been talking about closing some streets downtown as well. If you go to tourism cities around the world, around the country, there are cafes where the tables and chairs are set up on the sidewalk in the street, maybe only for part of the evening, maybe when the day shuts down, the streets close down. We're willing to experiment and try new things because our restaurants need more customers. We need everybody to feel confident that in a safe city, an open city, they can go out and eat, maybe sit on a sidewalk, sit in what was a parking space, maybe sit in the middle of the street and have a good meal and a glass of wine if you like wine, or a cup of coffee. Grow the local economy so we recover. That's the whole point. Why are we doing it? Help our businesses grow and recover and keep people employed. It's all about keeping the jobs right here for our local workers so they can go back to work, they can pay their bills, they can feed their families, they can pay their rent. We can all begin to recover, begin to thrive, get the economy moving. That's the whole idea. A couple of other things I want to report back to you on. We continue to be a country and a state and a city that is dealing with the after effects not only of COVID-19 but of the brutal killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. His funeral was a moment for all of us to reflect on systemic racism in America, all the issues that confront our African American community, our communities of color, are all front and center, and they should be. We need to take a minute and look in the mirror, ask ourselves as a government, as a community, are we doing the right thing to help people of color who feel that they have been discriminated against? There's an implicit bias. You can look at the data across the board, across the country, in terms of arrests, not just in policing, a lack of opportunity across the board for people to live their best lives. I spent last night reading two documents. One, and both date, by the way, from 2015. One is called Strengthening Police Community Relations in America's Cities. And the second, the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, a task force put together by President Obama. And I will be continuing to reach out to parts of our community, all parts of our community, that want to have a dialogue about race in Santa Fe, policing in Santa Fe, bias in Santa Fe, racism in Santa Fe. How do we become an anti-racist city? Not just how do we fight racism, how do we become anti-racist? And that's the work that is in front of us. I want to meet with you. I want to talk with you. Mostly I want to listen to you. I want to hear your lived experiences. What have you had as a member of the Santa Fe community that you think your city government needs to be aware of? What are your experiences, good or bad, with our police department, with our fire department, with our social service agencies? How can we do a better job of becoming an anti-racist city? How do we move beyond not being biased to being anti-bias? That's the lesson in front of us today. There's a terrific book called How to Become an Anti-Racist. We should all read it and make it the book that we're all talking about in our book clubs, in our communities, in our faith-based groups, and in our city. I'm reading it right now. I recommend it. I think it's the kind of book that will heighten the dialogue right here in Santa Fe, change the conversation from we're doing okay to we can do better. We can make a difference in the lives of young people all across our city, and not just young people of color, but people who are Anglo, people of all parts of our community who want to step into this moment of self-reflection and become a better community across the board. That's the challenge that's coming from young people in Santa Fe and in cities all across America. We can do better. So please join me in that conversation. Send me your ideas. Send me your specific experiences. Let me hear from you about lived experiences that you think are moments of truth that we should all reflect on. They may be good ones. They may be a moment where somebody looked beyond skin color and treated you like a human being. I want to hear about those as well as moments where we didn't live up to our best promise. So we can do better. We can do an assessment. We can step up. We can talk with each other honestly, constructively, and in a compassionate way to improve the quality of life for everybody in Santa Fe. That's it for a Friday. Have a good, safe weekend. Remember to take care of your own health. Wear a mask or a face covering. Use hand sanitizer. Practice social distancing so we don't see a skyrocketing number of new cases. The safer we are in Santa Fe, the more we can reopen. The more we can reopen, the more we can have an economy that is recovering. The more the economy recovers, the more we have jobs, income for people across Santa Fe who are trying to make ends meet, keep their families healthy and with a good quality of life across the board. That's the work in front of us right now. We need to take care of each other. We need to take care of our families. We need to take care of our city. Thanks again for watching and listening. I will see you next week. Take care.